Hello, people. Welcome. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Hello, Summer. How are you? Good to see you.
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Welcome. I'm just trying to get organised here. Now we've got.
I saw the little tiny little video on Instagram of you patting the koala.
The koala. Cool. Yeah, that's cool, isn't it? Yeah, I know. It was pretty cool. It's like right in our front yard. Just came to say hello for New Year's, so it was nice.
It's odd that a wild koala would allow you to do that.
Yeah, they're really friendly. I've actually done it a few times to koalas in our front yard.
Hey, have you got your sound turned right down?
I'll double check. It shouldn't be. Is it? Am I coming across really quiet? All right. No, it shouldn't be, Summer. If anyone can let me know if anyone else can let me know if I'm coming across a bit quiet. It might be. I'm not sure if it's my sound settings or yours, Summer. So we'll just find out.
Sorry, I just plugged my speakers back in. All good.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Good. All right. So I'm just going to give everyone a couple of minutes just to come on board. There's more people coming in as we speak, so we'll give everyone a little bit of time to come in before we get started. Welcome. There's a few names here that I recognise, which is great. Some of you I know are members of my Exercising Resilience mentoring tribe, which is awesome. So welcome to you guys. We've got Summer here. We've got Helen. We've got Kate, and of course Steph. So welcome, guys. Once again, other names that I do recognise, but there may be a few on tonight who I don't know as well. So I'd love for you all to just let me know to what degree you have come across me before. So if if you've listened to my podcast shows, then let me know. If you've been to some of our events with the Wellness Couch, then let me know. It'd be good just to know kind of where you guys have all come from and how you came across this webinar, because we've done a bit of promo on social media as well. I'm just going to mute a couple of people for now because there's a bit of background noise there. So yeah, I'd love to know how you guys came across this webinar and how you came across me. And so I sort of know how much I need to go and introduce myself and how much you guys already know me, which would be make it easier for me, obviously. I'm going to mute myself for a second while I have a sip of my cup of tea so I don't slurp in your ear. Okay, great. So yeah, it seems like mostly you guys have come across me before with podcasts and events, which is awesome. So thank you for your support. And Kath says, listen to some of your podcasts, but came across Hoist in Facebook. I'm not sure. I think that's a typo, but I assume that's coming across this webinar in Facebook, which is great. So today's going to be all about setting you guys up for an awesome 2021. And I'll be sort of going along and doing this process myself as we go along as well to make sure I'm setting myself up for an awesome 2021. Those of you who are already in my Exercising Resilience group will know that I'm all about drawing out of you guys the wisdom and the knowledge that you already have. I'm not about telling you how you should live your life or how I think you should live your life, but about helping you draw out the best version of you and the best version of your life. And so that's what really tonight is going to be all about, is starting that process. It's certainly not going to be the complete process, but it's going to give you the tools that you need to really get kick-started into 2021 and to continue the process as you go throughout the year. We'll certainly be working, I'll be working on this quite intensively over the next 21 days with my Exercising Resilience mentoring tribe. for those of you who aren't in that or haven't heard of that, there will be an opportunity for you guys to join that. And to kickstart the new year, there'll be an opportunity to join that for $1 for 30 days. So I'm just going to admit a couple more people in. So there will be an opportunity to sign up if you haven't already signed up to Exercising Resilience before, to sign up for $1 for 30 days to see what it's all about. But really, I think tonight will be for you guys a great example of what it's all about, because this is the typical an example of one of the sort of similar mentoring sessions I do twice a month inside the Exercising Resilience. We also do a 21-day monthly challenge and a whole bunch of other stuff in there as well. So there is a link here for you. Once again, we can talk about that a little bit more later, but that link enables you to sign up for $1 for 30 days of that mentoring. And I'll talk to you later about some of the mentoring that we'll be doing over the next 30 days as well, in terms of there'll be 2 extra mentoring sessions. So let's get into tonight. So tonight, as I said, it is really all structured around 21 goals for 2021, which seemed like a nice way to do it, and to get everyone active and thinking about all of the different facets of your life, and how we can make sure that we're achieving and happy and satisfied and resilient in all of those different facets. And so we're going to go through and we're going to talk about starting things, we're going to talk about stopping things, and we're going to talk about continuing things that are working well for us, and perhaps expanding upon those as well. And so the first area that we're going to talk about is going to be around mindset. And I should say welcome to those couple of people who've just joined us. So we're going to kick off by starting to talk about mindset. So number 1 of our mindset goals is really around starting something that's going to help you with your mindset in 2021. Now, some of you may already have an idea of what you'd like to do around that in 2021, which would be great. Some of you may not have an idea of what you want to do around that in 2021. And I'm going to suggest to you that these 21 goals would be a great thing to start doing in 2021, and would cover this one off for you in terms of something you can start doing this year, setting goals, SMART goals, which we'll talk about in a second, so that you can achieve everything you want in every facet of your life in 2021 as much as is humanly possible. So as I said, I think this process we're going to go through tonight would tick that one off for you if that's the way you want to do that. And certainly that's what I would recommend, is spending the next 21 days really fleshing out these 21 goals that we're going to talk about tonight, and making sure that you have got a SMART goal for each of those. So has everybody come across SMART goals before? Is anyone unaware of SMART goals? Because once again, that will sort of determine how much depth I want to go into explaining that. I don't want to bore you guys to death if you're already well aware of it. You will note in these mentoring sessions, they are me asking lots of questions because I'm wanting to, once again, draw it out of you guys and interact with you guys and make sure it's really targeted towards you guys. All right. So someone says she's heard of them, can't remember what they are and how they work. That's fine. All right. So I'm going to write in here the headings that we use for this. I'm not good at typing and talking at the same time, apparently. So they are specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, they're relevant, and then they're time sensitive. Okay. So in the context of this, in the context of the first one of our 21 goals we're talking about here, what I'm going to suggest you do is that your specific thing that you do is going through and setting 21 goals, 21 SMART goals for 2021. And I'm going to suggest that you do that in the next 21 days. So just knock off one a day for the next 21 days so that you've got all of those areas covered well before we get to the end of January, which would be amazing, before you even get to Australia Day, which would be fantastic. Okay. So that would cover the specific part of it. It's very measurable, right? Because we've said by the 21st of January, we want to have all of these goals nailed in. And once again, if you are wanting to join us in the Exercising Resilience mentoring group, then I will help you with that over the next 21 days. And we can workshop that within our private group, our private Facebook community that we have, where you can ask me any questions you want. And I jump in there every single day. they need to be achievable. So I think that one ticks off achievable. I don't think anyone could say that they are not capable of coming up with 21 SMART goals in 21 days. I'm not saying you need to achieve all of those 21 SMART goals in 21 days. In fact, I'm going to suggest that you won't, and you shouldn't try and do that. But at least having the goals written and ready to go, I think would be a great kickstart into the new year. We're going to make sure that all of these goals are relevant. Okay. And so this one by definition is relevant because I'm going to make sure that all of the other 20 that follow after this are relevant for you. And we'll workshop that and work through that with you tonight to make sure of that. And obviously the time sensitive component of it is covered by that 21 days and being done by the 21st of January. So does that make sense to you guys in terms of what is a SMART goal? Obviously this can then be applied to all of the other 20 goals that we're going to talk about tonight. Thank you. Someone says all of our goals are found in my book. That's a nice compliment. Thank you. All right, great. So let's tick off number one then. Okay. So who's wanting to make the first one of their goals, their mindset that they're going to start doing the 21 goals? And does anyone have anything else that they particularly want to make their goal of something they want to start doing for their mindset in 2021? You know, you might be picking, you might decide that you want to do more gratitude in 2021. You know, you might decide that you want to do a vision board or a visualization or more self-acknowledgement or self-love or focus on growth or your life purpose. Or, you know, there's a whole range of things you can choose to start doing in 2021 when it comes to your mindset. So if you want to have something else as well, that's okay. But once again, I'm going to suggest that at least one of your starting mindsets for 2021 is doing these 21 goals. You know, you've gotten this far, you're here. So I'm assuming that's something you're interested in. So that's what I would recommend to you guys. Does anyone have any questions about that before we move on to number two? Okay, great. So someone wants to do positive reinforcement rather than thinking negatively about things. And that's great, Summer. That's a really good thing to do. So once again, what I would encourage you to do is to turn that into a SMART goal over the coming days. Don't have to do that right now, but get that into a point where it's specific. So you might say that, I'm going to reframe one thing that happened every day. At the end of the day, I'm going to write it in my journal. So it's specific, it's measurable. You know, I'm going to do that for, let's say, 21 days. So it's time sensitive. Obviously, it's something that's very relevant to you because you've brought it up here. And sounds very achievable if you do it in that way. So, you don't have to do exactly what I just said, but get that into a SMART goal that works for you. And that'll be a great number one for you to have for this year. All right. So let's move on to number two. So number two is going to be still on the topic of mindset. And we're going to start, we want to pick something that we want to stop doing in 2021. So, there may be things that you do in terms of the way you talk to yourself, the way you love yourself. There may be things that you do that you feel are hindering your mindset, whether that's maybe what you drink, whether that's what you eat, whether that's what you consume in terms of social media. There may be a whole raft of things that you feel are hindering your mindset that you would like to stop doing in 2021 that you think will be beneficial for your mindset. I can see Kate has shared here in terms of her number one, 5 minutes of kind self-talk and thoughts each day before noon, which is great. I love that. And so how long do you want to commit to that for at this stage, Kate? Is that for maybe for 21 days? Is that maybe for January? Are you going to try and do that every day for the entire year? 21 days. All right, good. I always like 21 days. It's a great way to kickstart and then figure out whether it's working for you and whether it's something that you want to incorporate into a lifestyle change or modify or, however you want to do that for the rest of the year and potentially the rest of your life. So I think that's a great one. That's a great way to go. As Kate has done and Summer has done, feel free to share as we go along and let us know what you would like to be your 21 goals as we go along, because it's great to, as Helen has just done, steal other people's ideas and get ideas from other people about what you'd like to do. So by all means, share as we go along. So does anyone have anything that they've decided they would like to stop doing in terms of their mindset in 2021? You can, if you wish, unmute yourself and share via audio. or you can, as people have been doing, just comment in the chat there as well. So just be mindful if you do unmute yourself of just background noise, but certainly unmute yourself and let us know, and then you can mute yourself back up again as well. So has anyone got any ideas of what you'd like to stop, or would anyone like any help with ideas for what they would like to stop doing in regards to their mindset in 2021? It may be you're not sure what you want to stop doing, or it may be there's something you'd like to stop doing that you're not sure how to go about stop doing, or how to turn it into a goal. So there's some good ones here. I like this. So Summer's saying the same thing, basically, stop assuming people think badly of me when there's nothing to say that's the case, if that makes sense. That makes perfect sense, Summer. So yeah, I think definitely, reframing that is a great way to do it. So just the simple question of, is it true? And can I be absolutely certain that it's true? Both of those stolen, of course, from Byron Katie. If you haven't come across her book, Loving What Is absolutely wonderful. The audio book particularly is fantastic. So that is a nice way to do that. But yeah, I think once again, creating that into a SMART goal where you are spending a little bit of time each day or each week, or however you want to do that, Summer, reframing would be wonderful. So I'm just having a look. Yvette says, stop worrying so much. I was born to worry and I must choose to trust more. And yeah, I think that's a great thing, Yvette. So, choosing to trust that can be a big one, right? But once again, I think it can come back to a little bit of what's the truth? Is that true? Can I be certain that it's true? If you feel like everyone's out to get you, then you might be reinforcing that and finding ways to prove that to be true. But if you start asking yourself whether that's true and whether you can be absolutely certain that that's true, that might help you just challenge those thoughts and whether they are in fact true, or whether there is in fact a different way of thinking about that and seeing that. The other thing I think that's really useful to do around that is, is just to ask yourself, how's that working for me? Because at the end of the day, we do have the opportunity to choose to trust or choose not to trust. And so, the question to ask yourself is, which of those is going to make my life better? And of course, I'm not saying blindly trust in each and every situation. There needs to be a balance there, which once again comes back to that sort of truth. A balance based on truth is really important. But also, if you're never trusting and you're always doubting, then there's a cost to that as well. So we need to make sure that we're looking at the balance here. Not just looking at the cost of those times we have trusted and it's kind of blown up in our face, but look at what's the cost of not trusting, and is that a cost that I'm willing to keep paying? So I think finding a way to analyze that each day and review that each day and try and get that balance right would be a really great thing to have as a goal, and to help you stop doing that in 2021 would be amazing. So and Helen says hers is based around negative speak. So stopping negative speak. Once again, creating a goal each day to try and minimize that. Perhaps a goal to replace it might be a good idea, or to, once again, to analyze it and reframe it would be a good idea. You can just have a goal there that each day you're going to take, one negative thing that you've said about yourself and turn it around and change it. I think would be a wonderful thing. So those sound like some good goals, guys. I know there's a couple of people here who haven't spoken yet, or haven't chatted or typed yet. So I'd love to hear from you if you're one of those people. I know some people are by nature more extroverted, and some people like me are a little bit more introverted, and that's totally okay. If you just want to sit back and listen and absorb it and take it in, that's totally okay. You might be like Steph and nursing a small child off to sleep, or you might be doing the dishes, or any number of things at home, and so that's totally okay if you don't want to sort of jump in and talk. But we'll keep working through, and I'd love to hear from you. All right, Deborah says, great, I'd love to get up earlier and have some me time. That sounds like a great goal to have for 2021. So once again, Deborah, creating that into a SMART goal is going to be the best way to help start making that happen. So specific, measurable. I think a big one for that will be achievable and relevant. So you got to really connect into why you want to do that and the benefits you're going to get and how that's going to help you get what you want out of life. And once again, the achievable factor, making sure you're realistic about what you can do and setting yourself up for success. So, picking a time that you can make work, picking a number of days you do that you know that you can make work, maybe having an accountability buddy that's going to, that's probably not as relevant for me time. But if you were getting up exercising, for example, you might have a, accountability buddy with that as well. So that sounds like a good one, Deborah. And winding it back slowly sounds great. So once again, get that into a really smart goal and write that down on your list of 21, and that'd be awesome. And who have we got here? Kath says that's a great idea. That's awesome. And Adam says stop putting walls up and blocking potential opportunities. Yeah, that's a big one, Adam. So once again, I think that would be a great thing to sort of journal on at the end of each day of, when have I put walls up? When have I potentially missed out on opportunities? And, what's the cost and the benefit of that? There's always a cost and a benefit. So, whilst you missed opportunities, you may have also missed potential heartbreak or loss or penalty as well. So be balanced about how you approach that and how you analyze that. But certainly getting that balance right would be a wonderful thing to go into in 2021. I certainly know that was a big one for me. Having been gone through a divorce, that idea of putting yourself back out there and meeting someone else and moving on, in a new relationship, those sort of things was really challenging. The idea that you're going to, having gone through such heartbreak, put yourself out there for that to happen again, is a big one, So, but for me, once again, it came back to saying, well, what's ultimately going to be better for me in my life? What's going to get me closer to my goals? What's going to help me live the life that I've always dreamed of? And for me, that was, well, I have to take that risk. And going into that, knowing full well that it was a risk, that there were negatives and positives to doing that, and that the potential was there for heartbreak again, but that it was a risk worth taking. And so, doing that sort of introspection and self-analysis can be really beneficial. So that's great. Good work, guys. These are some great goals. All right. What about something that you would like to continue doing in 2021? So what's worked for you in 2020? I know for a lot of people, 2020 has been a different year to usual. Things have changed. Things have been thrown up in the air. We've been forced into doing things differently. And so it's a great opportunity, I think, to think about what we want to keep. What do we want to keep doing in 2021 that's worked for us in 2020? So we're really curious to hear what's worked for you. Deborah, regular exercise. Well done, Deborah. That's great. It's fascinating how much this whole coronavirus lockdown has actually seemingly encouraged people to exercise more and even socialize more. But, the amount of people you see with their home gyms and going for walks and going for runs and swimming and kayaking and all of these sort of things is wonderful. It's almost like the threat of it being taken away just made people realize how much they valued it, which is great. Summer training, sport, exercise, only got into it late in the year and it's really working for me. Yeah, Summer, you've been kicking some great goals with your movement. I think keeping that mindset, that movement mindset would be wonderful. It does seem like some of you guys are moving into movement, which is actually going to be our next category we're going to talk about. So think about what's worked for you, particularly right now. What's worked for you in terms of your mindset in 2020 is I probably wasn't as clear as I should have been in that suggestion, that direction then. But yeah, let us know. I mean, it may be that the exercise has been, and no doubt it has been wonderful for your mindset. So you might actually choose to put that in this category. Yes, some are saying getting bush and nature. Adam's been doing the Wim Hof breathing. That's an interesting one. That's a cool one. If you haven't heard of Wim Hof, he's very cool. I think we've, I'm trying to think. I'm not sure we've actually interviewed Wim Hof on the Wellness Guys or the Wellness Couch, but certainly he's been mentioned in a few of the podcasts. He's a very interesting guy. Adam, have you been doing the ice baths as well, or just the breathing? Oh, Kath says time in the garden. Yeah, I'm sure lots of people have spent more time in the garden in 2020. And once again, that can be a wonderful way to relax and to meditate and to get some me time and to declutter your brain and get your hands dirty and get connected back into nature and what's important as well. So good job. All right, so this year for sure, Adam, the ice bars, excellent. We've got an outdoor bath here. We have done a couple of times now. I think we've done it 3 times now, and it's a cool experience. It really does create some mental shifts, which is great. All right, and Yvette's doing some cooking more whole foods, ferments, cultured foods, etc., which is great too. And once again, they can easily go into the mindset section, but that could easily go into the nutrition section we're going to talk about later on as well. So some of these might sort of have a little bit of crossover between the sections, but that's okay. So let's move on and start talking about movement. Oh, actually, before we start talking about mindset, I will let you know that the mentoring I'm going to be doing with my exercise and resilience mentoring group on the 14th of January. I had a heart attack then. I thought I'd scheduled it on Valentine's Day. The 14th of January is actually going to be all about spring cleaning. And so we're going to do like a really thorough review of 2020 and what worked and what didn't, and what we want to keep and what we want to chuck as well. So we are doing that a little bit as we set these goals, but we're going to do a more thorough analysis of that on the 14th of January. So if you're liking what we're doing tonight, you'd probably love that one. As I said, I'll give you that link again a little bit later, but you can join us for the next 30 days in our mentoring for $1 as a thank you for coming on board tonight and getting your 2021 off to a great kickstart. On the 28th of January, so we do our mentoring on a Thursday night typically, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. And so on the 28th of January, which is also a Thursday night, we'll be doing a movement mentoring session. So we're going to really drill down what's working and what's not working for you in terms of your movement and help you get that really dialed in for 2021 as well. And including all the things we've been speaking about in terms of, structured exercise, but also just movement and getting in nature and doing slower stuff and stretching and all of those different aspects we're going to talk about. So that'll be great. So let's talk about movement. Has anyone got a particular movement goal that they already know they want to do in 2021? All right, great. So we've got some stuff we're going to start doing in terms of movement. Someone wants to just do more. And once again, some really dial that in with a SMART goal. Make sure that you are doing that in an achievable way. Last thing we wanted you to do is get to the end of the first 21 days of January and be burnt out with your movement and then start sliding backwards, because that can be easy to do. That is the biggest failure, I think, of New Year's resolutions, is that people try and do too much and set themselves up for failure rather than doing a small amount that they can maintain for a lifetime and set themselves up for success. So be mindful of that. Deborah wants to get fit to play football again. That sounds good. What's football for you, Deborah? Because football means different things to different people. Are we doing Australian rules? Are we rugby? Are we soccer? Aussie rules. Good girl. All right. All right. Kate says she wants to do a few Murph banded pull-ups in March after shoulder injury. Oh, handstand hold for 60 seconds by May. Kate, you're a machine. Are you going to do a handstand hold? Is that against the wall or is that just in the middle of the room? Because I might be able to do that against the wall, but the middle of the room scares me. All right, against the wall. All right, there you go. My friend who I work out with said to me the other day, he wants us to work on being able to do handstand walks, which I've sort of has always scared me a little bit, the sort of the falling from that. All right, great. So does anyone need help with coming up with something in terms of movement that they would like to add in 2021? Is anyone struggling to think of something they'd like to add in? All right, great. So Adam's got some movement to strengthen his lower back muscles, which sounds great. I think one thing I'll say on that, Adam, is as a general rule, I think that trying to use your lower back muscles in conjunction with the rest of your body is really important. So I would say be careful, unless you've got a very structured sort of rehab program that requires it, be careful of doing too many sort of isolated lower back exercises, and look for more whole body movements that use your lower back, because it's important that you teach your muscles to work in unison, and that you teach your stabilizers to fire at the right time, and your leg muscles are working in conjunction with your lower back muscles, working in conjunction with your abs, working in conjunction with your upper body. So doing that through whole body movement, I think is a really good way to do it, and obviously making sure you're doing it with really good posture and really good technique. So the simpler versions of that to start with can be doing things like the sort of the Supermans and the leg and arm extensions on the floor, on your knees. And then obviously, as you push into that, you can be doing more complex movements like deadlifts and those sort of things. Obviously, I don't know all of the details of your particular medical histories, so take that with a grain of salt. But that's a good way to, some good things to think about anyway as you do that. And if you've got questions about that, let me know. Cool. Yeah, so Helen's saying, rebuild my fitness and strength after the surgery. Taking me longer than I thought, and that's no fault of yours, Helen. That is very commonly the case. That recovery from stuff like that does take longer than you think. I think the key for you, once again, will be those achievable goals. Chunk it down, and make it measurable and time sensitive. Because if you can do that, you can get the little wins along the way, and that will help you feel like you're progressing and help you see that you're moving in the right direction. Rather than, if all you're looking at is, well, when am I going to be back to where I was before? That can seem a long way away sometimes, and it seems a bit daunting, and it might seem like you're not really getting there, or it's taking a long time. But if you chunk it down and give yourself little wins along the way, then that'd be really useful. Obviously, one of the mentorings we did in Exercising Resilience, which Helen, I know you are a member of, was about how to eat an elephant, which was based on my first book I wrote, breaking everything down into small chunk-sized bites and setting yourself up for success. So you might want to go and have a listen back to that one as well. For everyone else, just know that if you are in the Exercising Resilience mentoring group, all of the previous mentoring that I've done over the last 6 months, so 2 a month for at least 6 to 7 months, are all in that group. So you can go back and listen to them at any time if you are a member there. So that one might be worth having a look at, Helen. All right. So it sounds like we've got some great things that we'd like to start doing in terms of movement in 2021. What about things you'd like to stop doing movement-wise in 2021? Is there anything that isn't serving you? I will do that. Thank you. Yvette, I've just muted you because there's a bit of background noise there. If you want to come in and have a chat, then let me know and I can unmute you again. But it was just getting a little bit noisy. So what would you guys like to stop doing movement-wise? Are there things that aren't serving you? Have you been sitting too long? Have you been sitting in bad posture? Have you been exercising in a way that doesn't serve you? Have you been overdoing it and trying to do too much too soon? Have you been too impatient with your movement? Have you been perhaps not as good with your technique and your, or have you not done enough mobility? What's been happening with your movement? What could we stop doing that's going to help improve your movement? Yeah, so someone says, stop sitting on my butt for most of the day. Yep, so that would be, once again, if we can make that specific, so if there's a particular, let's say there's a particular time of the day, it might be that, you get home in the evenings and you sit down and you're on Facebook for 2 hours, just as an example. And you might say, well, you know what, I'm going to change that and I'm going to set myself a limit and I'm going to set my egg timer. And when I come home, I'm just going to, I'm going to sit down and it's going to be for an hour. And after that, I'm going to get up and move around a little bit. All right. So that would be a way to make that into a SMART goal and make it measurable and once again, achievable. Not saying, well, I'm never going to sit down, I'm never going to watch TV or watch Netflix or go on social media or whatever it is that you do, because that may not be realistic for you. But figuring out a way that you can do that in a smart way that's going to set yourself up for success would be really cool. And yeah, Deborah's agreeing with the sitting too much. Oh yeah, teaching online. Oh, Deborah, that has been a big challenge for people this year, hasn't it? There's been so much online stuff, and so teaching might not be the best way to do it. That might not be possible to do this teaching, but if there are other things that you do online, for example, this mentoring session, I know that Steph is outside walking around and watching this on her phone, or at least listening to this on her phone, rather than sitting down. Part of that is by necessity because she is trying to get Timmy off to sleep, but also that is one way to get a bit more movement. Yeah, so someone says, yeah, sit stand desk is a great way to do it. Who have we got? How can I scroll? Oh, Deborah says, yeah, turning off the TV, you get much more movement. So once again, making that into a smart goal then, Deborah, of setting an amount of time you're okay with watching the TV, but then also having a time limit to that would probably be a good way to go about doing that. And yeah, doing the stand-up desk would be great. All right, what about things you want to keep doing in terms of movement? What has been, I know a couple of you guys shared some of these earlier. What has been working for you in terms of movement in 2020 that you want to keep doing? Or maybe even you want to modify or expand upon? You might have been doing, I know some, as I said, you've been kicking some really good goals with your movement. So, which aspects of that have you really enjoyed that you would like to keep doing and perhaps even do more of? And which aspects, well, no, at this stage, just what do you want to keep doing and what do you want to do more of? So Yvette's been doing a daily walk and that's been working for you. That sounds wonderful. How long do you do it for, Yvette? Is that every day? Yes, Deborah said being part of a team and having regular trainings and having a PT at the gym to push. I hope that's pushy, not punchy. It's a PUCH. It could be either. But yeah, no, that's great. I think having that accountability is wonderful. I've certainly found that, one of the blessings for me from COVID has been exercising with my best mate. Both of our gyms closed down. And so we started using my home gym and he's been coming up 3 or 4 times a week. And we've been really getting into it and having a huge degree of accountability has been wonderful. We have to do it early in the morning because he needs to get it done before work. And I think most mornings I get down to the bottom of my driveway and say, I wouldn't have got out of bed if I didn't know you were going to be here. And he says, I wouldn't be here if I didn't know you would have got out of bed. And so we keep each other accountable, which is great. So yeah, I think that accountability is wonderful. That's great. And yeah, Summer's going to keep going with her karate and get to the next grade, which is wonderful. Fantastic. All right. So as you can see, we're kind of ticking off the different sections of life here. So we're going to move on to social life. And so in terms of your social life, what is something you would like to start doing in 2021? Deborah, you've already mentioned, sort of getting into your football and your team sport. That might be your social activity, or there may be something else you want to add into that. But what about everyone else? What would you like to start doing socially in 2021? Is there someone you would like to catch up with? Is there some activity you would like to do? Is there a group you would like to, surround yourself with more? I know for the exercising resilience group, having that accountability, having that support and interaction in the mentoring sessions and also in the Facebook group is really beneficial in terms of, surrounding yourself with the sort of people that you want to surround yourself with to help create the life that you want to create. Deborah says footy culture isn't actually that great. Yeah, I can relate to that, Deborah. My cricket club isn't always the healthiest culture there either in terms of the food and the drinking and those sort of things as well. So there might be another social group you want to find, or maybe even a group within a group. Sometimes I'm sure within that football club, there are people who you would like to socialize with who would be really positive. But yeah, Deborah says she'd rather create a mastermind with other business owners in allied health. That sounds wonderful. I've certainly done that before in Adelaide and had a mastermind group that caught up about once a month. And that was really beneficial. That was really cool. Summer says her training is helping her be more social, which is great. socialized more in the last 2 months than over the last 3 or 4 years. That's wonderful, Summer. That is really exciting to hear. All right, so I'm going to keep moving through these now because we've got a few of these to get through. Feel free to keep chiming in and letting me know what your thoughts are. And please make sure if you have any, if you're not sure on one, if you're struggling with one, if you want a little bit of help, or you want me to help clarify a little bit for you, then let me know. But in terms of social life, is there something you would like to, and Adam wants to attend some men's group events. That'd be great. Even start a men's group event, Adam. That'd be cool too. Make sure it's relevant and achievable for you. But if that's something you'd want to do, that would be really cool too. So what about something you'd like to stop doing in terms of social life in 2021? Is there someone you've been surrounding yourself with? Are there people, whether in real life or online, that you've been, real life or virtually hanging out with that haven't been serving you? I'm not saying you need to cut these people out of your life altogether, although you may choose to do that. But you may just think, well, I'd probably like to spend a little bit less time with that particular person or with that particular group of people who maybe aren't on the same wavelength as you, who maybe aren't benefiting you. So what do you guys think about that? Have you got people you'd like to stop socializing with in 2021? I'm sure many of us would just like to stop socializing online and start socializing in real life a bit more. Because I know that's been a challenge for people in 2020. And then while we're at it, you can start thinking about your goal. And once again, ideally what I'd love to have, and I don't expect you to have a SMART goal for each of these categories tonight. But it'd be great if by the 21st of January, you have a SMART goal for each of these. And once again, if that's something you want to do and you want to join in on the Exercising Resilience mentoring group, we'll be going through these one by one, and I'll be giving some help and support online to help you make sure you get a SMART goal in each of these areas. Just a reminder, the link there, if you want to sign up for Exercising Resilience mentoring for the next 30 days for $1, you can do that there. And there's no commitment to go do anything beyond that. You can just come for the month. If you love it, you will, of course, get the opportunity to stay on. And obviously, that is then like $49 a month to stay on. But if you don't, then you just get the free month and you can come to the mentoring and do all that sort of stuff as well. And we'd love to have you on board. So that would be great. Obviously, a couple of people in here tonight, particularly Helen and Kate, who are very active members in the Exercise Resilience mentoring, can probably share a little bit about what they've done and what they've experienced over the last 6 or 7 months, because I know they've both got some good benefits out of it and made some really positive changes, which is wonderful. Kate was sharing just recently the changes she's made this year and how she's been feeling coming into the end of the year when we had our Christmas drinks, we called it. We had a nice little get together online and just had some festive food and wore some funny hats and all those sort of things, and that was wonderful. So that's lovely. Thank you. So someone says I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for you and ER, Brett, which is wonderful. Thank you. And where did we go? I'm trying to scroll up and get these comments. Kate's saying, wanting to spend less time with people not really aligned with me, which is wonderful. And that is, I think people can beat themselves up about that sometimes, but I think when you can really get clear on, who you are and what your purpose is and what you want out of life, and it becomes clearer who is helping you achieve your life purpose and who is not, and how much time you want to invest in those relationships that are pushing you in the opposite direction, I think is really important. So, Kate, if you want to come on and let us know how you've been going, that'd be lovely. Oh, there you are. Oh, you're very backlit tonight, Kate.
I had all the curtains over and then I just sort of closed them just now. Hi to all those people who I don't know, and hi to those people who I do know. So hi to everyone and Happy New Year. Yes, look, I said to Brett at the end of the year last year, that I really felt the benefits at the end of the year by just chipping away the 21-day challenge each month. It's was so valuable, and it's also a bloody nuisance at times. So it's both, but that's where the resilience comes in, to just chip away. And even if I'd go a day or two without doing whatever the challenge was, the group was still there. And the sense of the group and the holding of the group really helped me just chip away, little steps, one in front of the other. And by the end of the year, I really felt the benefits of just chipping away.
Yeah, and that's perfect. I love the way you've described that, because what you've described is that it's, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It is challenging, and it's designed to be challenging because that's where the growth is, but it's designed to be, once again, challenging in a really achievable and relevant way, that allows you to make, have small wins. And as we keep saying, that you get to the end of the year, and then all of a sudden you think, oh, hang on, those small wins that seemed only small and insignificant at the time, but you get to the end of the year and you start adding them up. And you realize the real benefit of this sort of ongoing mentoring is that it's not about how much different I'm going to be in 21 days time, but it's how much difference I'm going to be in 21 months time or 21 years time. If you're creating real sustainable lifestyle change, I think that's ultimately our goal, because that's what changes lives in the long term, rather than, as I said, the New Year's resolutions that everyone's kicking off today that are going to be totally forgotten by the end of the month. There's no benefit to that. In fact, there may even be a harm to that,
Yes, it reminds me of the accumulation of putting the 10% or the 5% in the bank account. And that can just be little bits each week. But the accumulation of that at the end of the year is like, wow, look what I did.
Absolutely.
So that's how I feel. It's the same with the effort that I make each month.
Tom just told me the other day it's time to empty out his jar again. We've got the save, the spend, and the give jars from the Barefoot Investor. He said, "Well, we're going to go to the bank, Dad. It's full." And it's a good reminder, I think, of just how those things add up. So, thank you, Kate. I will keep moving because we'll get into what people have been doing this year. And I think you guys have kind of already started doing what you guys have been doing this year in terms of your social life and what's been working for you that you want to keep doing. I think you guys have shared some great stuff there already. So keep doing it. And that's, and once again, make it tangible, put it into a SMART goal. And that'll help set yourself up for success to keep doing it all through this year. So if you can sort of quantify that and make it tangible and make that commitment, then that'll really help you keep going through 2021. And then we're going to move on to nutrition. So looking at your nutrition, usually this is quite easy. I think we all always have something we'd like to start doing in terms of our nutrition. I know a couple have been mentioned already in terms of fermented foods and things like that. Usually we've got a number of things we'd like to start doing in terms of our nutrition. The biggest challenge, I think, in terms of this one is, once again, making sure that it is achievable and making sure that it's relevant, making sure that it's helping you achieve your goals, not because someone else thinks you should do it or society thinks you should do it or, whatever. So hopefully you guys have got some ideas around what you'd like to do in 2021 in terms of your nutrition. If you've got ideas, then feel free to share. If you haven't got ideas, or if you're stuck figuring out how to do it, then by all means, let me know, and I'll see if I can help clarify for you and help, as I said, draw out of you what you would like. Deborah wants to eat clean, train mean. That sounds scary. I won't be wanting to meet you on the footy field, Deborah. So what does eat clean look like for you, Deborah? And how can we, as I said, how can we ensure that, by the end of the year, you're eating clean, as opposed to trying to change everything? I find some people can change everything really successfully. If you've ever seen the paleo movement, there was this thing called the Whole 30, where people just change everything for 30 days and go totally paleo and just do it, 100%. And I reckon about 5% of people that worked for, and they just nailed it and they did so well. And I know that I'm not one of those 5% of people, whereas I'm much more about making small, sustainable changes and changing over a lifetime. And that's where I think these SMART goals come in. So I would encourage that approach for most people. Yeah, so Deborah says lots of veg, variety of meats and juices. So yeah, once again, the more concrete you can get that in terms of what your first SMART goal is going to be around that, Deborah, I reckon the more likely you are to succeed. So pick one small thing that you want to change first and make it achievable and set yourself up for success so that you get to the end of January and go, yes, I nailed that one. And then you're going to feel really good about picking another one for February and adding to those not short-term changes, but lifestyle long-term changes, and watch them compound over the year. That would be my advice for you. This is great, Summer. So seeing a dietitian and nutritionist, all about clean, healthy eating. Great. So yeah, I mean that would, I think, would be a great goal, Summer, just to be maintain that relationship and keep doing what's working for you would be wonderful. Yep. So Kate wants to continually track food and macros daily, continue better at not eating when I feel anxious. Once again, I think that's, if we can get that into some sort of a SMART goal there, Kate, that would be wonderful. So think about what that looks like for you. How do we make that tangible? It might be when I feel anxious and I go to eat that I'm going to wait 15 minutes beforehand. That might be a tangible way to do that, and to make it into something specific and measurable. I don't know, just one example. Helen's going to do, I think you spoke about this before, Helen, doing a new recipe each week. I've got heaps of good, healthy cookbooks and want to start using them. That sounds really good. I love have you guys seen my recipe card system that I have? Some of you might have seen it, but I have the little old school recipe cards. And so when I get a good recipe, if it's a really good one, it gets a recipe card that goes in there. And I find that a really good way to add in some new recipes that I really like into the repertoire, because I find otherwise I sort of look at these and I've got bucket loads of cookbooks, and I've given away many of the cookbooks I've been given because I just had too many. And but I find that I just look at all those cookbooks and it gets a bit overwhelming, and I just end up going back to cooking an old favorite. Whereas when I've used the recipe card system, it's I can find stuff pretty quickly and easily, and redo ones that I've discovered and like, and it does kind of encourage me to discover new ones to add into that repertoire as well. So I like doing it that way. Good. Cool. More green smoothies, research recipes. That sounds great, Adam. So once again, quantify that. How often a week do you want to do a green smoothie? How many green smoothie recipes do you want to have in your repertoire? And yeah, Helen likes the recipe card system. There's something just, I don't know, beautiful and old fashioned about it, Helen, that just sparks joy in me. I feel like I'm cooking my grandma or something. I don't know why, but just the old school handwritten cards are just cool. All right. So what about stopping in terms of nutrition in 2021? Once again, these are usually easy to find. There's usually something we know we want to stop in 2021. So, is it a food? Is it a drink? Is it a time of day that you're eating? Is it a macro you want to change? What do you guys want to do? Yeah, Helen says you have to hold a recipe card and it's part of the experience. Yeah. And they get grimy, Helen. You kind of, they have a bit of a story. I do replace them every now and then when they just get a bit too far. But they got character. I like it. You don't get that from a iPod or an iPad. I'm so tech savvy. Deborah says less wine. Great. So once again, Deborah, let's see if you can quantify that. What does that look like for you? Do you want to set a limit on how many wines you have each week or each night? Do you want to have a night that you don't drink wine, or maybe several nights, or maybe it's just weekends you drink wine? Like, try and once again get that quantifiable, get that tangible for you. Same for you, Kate. Not eat carbs, right? That's not achievable first of all. No one can not eat carbs. You are going to consume some carbs, and I know that you know that already. But making that into a something achievable and realistic would be great. And I'm being a bit flippant with you there, Kate, because I know that I'm okay. I know you well enough to tease you a little bit. But yeah, I think figuring out what that means for you. What does not eat carbs mean for you? And, when will you have exceptions? And, what does no carbs mean to you? Are you talking percentages? Are you talking, and obviously different carbs as well, which ones are you going to have and not have? There you go. Not eat carbs, bread at 2 p.m. That sounds more specific and more achievable. I like that. And Deborah says, maybe just weekends and water in between a glass if I have a few. That sounds a wonderful way to do it, Deborah. And once again, is that achievable for you, or are you setting yourself up for failure? If you're currently doing 4 glasses of wine a night every night of the week, not saying that you are, but then saying, well, I'm just going to instantly go back to just weekends and have a glass of water between every one, might not be relevant or achievable for you. And you might want to say, well, look, I'll start by just having one night where I don't drink. So once again, not knowing where you're at now, and to share that if you don't want to, I don't know whether that's an achievable one. Great, good to clarify, and it's very achievable. Win. Great work. Adam says, eat less bread when time poor. No other options, even though I eat good quality organic bread. Yeah, so cool. So once again, I think putting some pre-planning into that will be the key, Adam, is, identify when you do tend to do that. Obviously, as you said, when you're time poor. So you might want to try and figure out when you get caught out and what happens when you get time poor. And is there a way you can sort of work around that and help prevent that from happening? Or is there something else you can make in advance, or prepare in advance, or swap it out for, that allows you to have some sort of a snack when you're feeling time poor and you're feeling stressed, and often that's when you do crave, so that you can swap it out and replace it. I know generally for me, like my go-to, if I'm on the run and I haven't planned ahead and I'm feeling time poor, I will often just go even just to the service station if I have to, and that they have a lot of service stations that have this like grass-fed beef jerky, and so that's generally, if I get stuck, that's generally my go-to, and then I can feel like I'm satiating myself and having a little bit of a snack, without the sort of the carbs and the gluten and stuff as well. So that's one of my tips that I like to use. Otherwise, usually something with a good fat content is good in terms of satiating yourself, if depending on your particular dietary way to go. If it says Chief bars are great for a snack too. Yeah. Or once again, high fat things. So if you think like eggs or avocado, or even like cold meats or things like that, they're generally a good way to satiate that will cause less cravings as well. So, all right. So we've got some things we're going to start, and things we're going to stop. Once again, have a think about what worked for you in 2020 in terms of your nutrition. Did you make changes? Were changes forced on you because you're at home? Maybe you had more coffee or tea or whatever you tend to have at home rather than out, and that worked well for you. Saves you a bit of money. Maybe maybe you did change your snacks up a little bit because you're at home and you could do things differently. And maybe now, as you go back to work, you can keep doing that and once again, plan ahead and take stuff with you, or whatever that may be. Relationships we can move on to now. So, and this can be, all sorts of relationships we're talking about here. This doesn't necessarily have to be all about romantic relationships. This could be friends. This could be family relationships. Are there relationships you want to start in 2021, or resume in 2021, or spend more time with in 2021? Are there particular people in your life who you want to connect with, or maybe someone you want to find? If it's a romantic relationship, you may want to start doing something that helps you find that. Have you guys got thoughts about starting a relationship in 2021? Or as I said, or resuming a relationship in 2021? I know we spoke before, but we sort of covered this a little bit when we were talking about socializing. But this may be, these more direct relationships, maybe. That's fascinating, Summer. It's amazing, I think, how, when you start making those lifestyle changes and, get into the exercise and clean up the diet, I think that can really shift things in terms of that, physical relationships. And the pill, that's a big one too. So well done, Summer. So having a goal of, how you want to do that, Summer, would be, obviously there's so many different options nowadays in terms of online dating and things like that you could do if you choose to. And of course, from the stuff we spoke about earlier around socializing, obviously there's going to be people you can meet through your karate. There's going to be people you meet through doing fitness. There's going to be people, the more you're getting out there, the more likely you are to meet somebody, the right one or the wrong one. But that's part of the game when you start putting yourself out there as well. So, I think that's, something that would be good to have a sort of smart goal around then, Summer, of, trying to maybe set a bit of a time frame to go on a date or something of that nature. I think it is, when you're putting yourself back out there again, it can be a matter, I think, sometimes of just having to bite the bullet. And it can be really daunting if you haven't been out there for a while. I can tell you, having been in a relationship for 13 years, the idea of going back onto the dating scene and talking to people, and asking someone out, or those sort of things, was very, very daunting. But I think sometimes you do just have to sort of set set your intention that you're going to do it, and you're going to push it and find someone. So there you go. Deborah's out there on elite singles, setting boundaries. Yes, with people who are not after a relationship. I think that's a really important thing to do, making sure you're really honest about what you want and what you don't want. And there's lots of people out there, so I think, it's easy to get daunted by the prospect. It's easy to, it's easy to hold back. It's easy to stay in your comfort zone. It's hard to put yourself out there. There is a lot of, fear of rejection and those sort of things, but you're never going to find the right one without putting yourself out there. And so once again, it is that thing of, you just have to decide whether it's a risk is worth taking. And so, are you willing to risk putting yourself out there and having someone say, no, you're not my type, or this isn't going to work for me. But that's just what you have to go through to find the right one, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know. There's a lot of learning that happens in relationships. And yes, Deborah, it's amazing when you do put yourself out there that the tests will come. And as I said, that is, relationships are one of the, biggest areas of personal growth. You will learn so much from those personal relationships, whether that's friends, family, romantic relationships. They teach you so much about life. But and as Deborah says, there's plenty out there. It's about finding the right one, and that does take a bit of a process of filtration sometimes, and once again, a process of kissing a few frogs sometimes before you find your prince as well. That you have to put yourself out there and give it a chance. So that would be relationships. Then once again, that's starting relationships, stopping relationships as well. So there may be relationships, once again, friends, family. Oh yes, Summer. I'm just using a colloquial phrase, but yes, it could easily be a princess as well. You're absolutely right. No, it's a valid point, actually, Summer. It is. But there may be relationships you want to stop. So some of you may be in a romantic relationship that's not working for you. Some of you may have friendships that are not working for you. Some of you may have family relationships that are not working for you. And once again, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to totally stop seeing those people, but it might mean that you're going to clarify how much time you spend with those people. All right. So that is certainly something to consider. and you might want to come up with I would encourage you to come up with a SMART goal around that in 2021. I'll be amazed if you guys have nobody that you think you would either like to see less of or not see at all heading into 2021. Because, once again, I think it's easy for me as an introvert. I'm probably better at not spending time with people that I don't want to spend time with. I know for some of you extroverts that can be a lot more challenging. But I think the important thing is to remember that, all the time you're spending with that person is time you're not spending with other people who you would actually prefer to be spending time with. So you need to think about the loss there as well, which often helps you clarify that. I know Adam was talking earlier about being time poor. And so, that's one of the ways that we can get sapped of our time is by, time and energy vampires who you spend time with, who are not necessarily the people you'd like to be spending time with. So bear that in mind. And obviously, in terms of the dating scene, Deborah sounds like she's all over that in terms of, not putting up with people who aren't looking for her or aren't looking for what she's looking for. And it's important to be able to say no as well if it's not what's right for you, which is great. So we can then look at relationships. Obviously, you can look at which relationships are working for you as well. So which ones do you want to keep and perhaps even expand upon? So if there's relationships you've developed in 2020, once again, I know for the Exercising Resilience tribe, there've been some great relationships and communication that goes on in that tribe, which is wonderful, which I hope and I'm sure will continue into 2021. But others, you might want to think about, who you've been spending time with. Once again, I know for me, spending more time with my best mate this year, doing our exercise has been just wonderful. And that is definitely something I want to continue into 2021 and possibly even expand on. Might expand beyond the 3 or 4 exercise sessions a week. We'll see how we go. So have a think about who you want to keep seeing as a, once again, friend, family member, romantic relationship in 2021, and put that into a SMART goal as well. And then growth. So I'd love to know whether you guys have any growth you would like to achieve in 2021. So this can be as big or as small as you like. It might be I'm going to listen to a podcast. It might be I'm going to read a book, or it might be I'm going to take a university level education program. What is it that you would like to do? Where would you like to grow in 2021? What would you like to learn in 2021? Be curious to hear what you guys have got on the cards for 2021. Yeah, that's great, Helen. And we can keep working on that in terms of those family relationships and helping cement that into a SMART goal over the next 21 days, definitely. Summer, almost finished a qualification for bookkeeping. That is wonderful. So yes, that can definitely be a great goal to get that done. And Kate is doing her powerlifting course. You're such a machine, Kate. I can't wait to see that. And Helen, so Helen, more study. Once again, if we can get that into a SMART goal, that would be great. And that doesn't, if you don't know what you want to study yet, that's okay. But you might set a SMART goal around how much time you're going to spend researching and analyzing and checking out all the different options and trying to get to a decision. So you might not actually have a decision now, but you might have a SMART goal for making a decision, which is a good way to go about doing that if you're not sure yet. And then obviously the flip side to this is going to be what you want to stop doing in 2021. So have there been things that you have done in 2021 that haven't been working for you? Have you been studying a course that you just not in love with anymore? You actually don't want to be doing anymore? Do you want to actually drop out? Have you been doing a mentoring program, hopefully not mine, that's not working for you, that you want to actually jump off of and create more space for the things that you do want? Because once again, that's really what we're talking about here in terms of growth. If there are things you are doing that aren't filling your bucket, that aren't taking you closer towards your life purpose, then it's really important that you start analyzing where you're spending your time and whether that's a good use of your time and whether that could perhaps be better used elsewhere. So that might be, you might be unsubscribing a podcast that you listen to. You might be, a whole range of different things whatever it is that you're doing for growth, you might want to change course there. So Kate is finishing her course March 21, starting classes March 8. Is that powerlifting classes? Is that you taking the class or teaching the class, Kate? That sounds exciting. And so it sounds like you guys are really nailing what you want to continue in 2021 as well. So obviously those things, many of you seem like you're halfway through growth. It should be no surprise that people on this webinar would be growth focused. That comes as no surprise to me at all. So once again, set that SMART goal around what you want to keep doing, which it sounds like you all have. Kate, that's so cool. I love the fact that you're doing a powerlifting class for over 50s. That is just so good and so needed and important. Often talk about this. I know I'd spoken about this on, stage at the Wellness Summit before, where, people say, well, why does a grandma need to know how to lift? But it's like, well, every time she gets home from the shop, she has to unpack her shopping. She has to lift her shopping bags out of her car and lift them in and put them down so she can open the front door and lift them back up again. And so, teaching people how to move healthily is just a wonderful thing at any age. So well done, Kate. That's great. And then the final one, or the final three, is wealth. So Yvette is going to listen to less news. Yeah, awesome. That is such a good one. So once again, make that tangible. What is less, Yvette? What does that look like for you? How many times a day? How many times a week are you going to allow yourself to do it? And once again, make sure that it's achievable and just sort of gradually chip away at it and reduce it by more and more as you go along. Yeah, so Summer, powerlifting is, the deadlifting would be the classic example of powerlifting. And powerlifting and deadlifting is exactly what you should be doing when you're picking your groceries up off the floor. So learning how to do that healthily with weight means that you're learning those movement patterns that actually help you whenever you need to lift, or maybe it's picking up your grandchild off the floor and lifting them up. Then that might be more like a clean. You might be lifting them up to shoulder height. So those powerlifting moves actually go, cross over very much into day-to-day life. And so obviously there are individual circumstances, Summer, where, you said your chiro has said deadlifts are bad with you, with your back and core. Once again, without knowing all the details, intricate details of your personal history and, seeing your x-rays and all those sort of things, I can't really comment on that other than to say that my way of looking at it is that you are going to deadlift regardless, right? Because there are times in your life when you need to lift stuff up off the floor, like I said. Now you may be able to do that with a flat-footed squat and do it that way, and that's okay. And try and avoid doing those deadlifts. But there are probably going to be times where you have an awkward weight, an awkward object that you need to lift that you're going to have to you're going to have to deadlift rather than squat. So my way of looking at that is that learning how to do that movement well, even if it's only at very, very light weight, is very useful for everybody, I think. So, because as I said, ultimately you're going to have to do it in your day-to-day life. So you may as well learn how to do it right. And like I said, that doesn't mean you need to be doing a 200 kilo deadlift, because that's totally not relevant or achievable for a grandma, for example. But certainly being able to do it well and with good technique at a weight that is the weight that you're likely to need to do in your day-to-day life, that makes heaps of sense to me. All right, so let's move on. Glad I think having a chat to your chiro about that would be great, Summer. And it may well be that you're, with all the exercise you've been doing, you've probably improved your stability now. And it may well be that your chiro was saying, not never, just not right now, and that we need to build up to it as well. Yes, and Kate, of course, is sharing some wonderful benefits there as well. So, yeah, 100% agree with all of those, Kate. There are a lot of additional health benefits to having strength and power and lean muscle mass, which are awesome. And I know someone will appreciate those details because she loves the detail. And sometimes I just give the broad strokes. So thank you for filling in the gaps, Kate. So wealth. So let's, having something you would like to start doing for your wealth in 2021. And so this might be, earning. So you might be, looking to get a new job or change jobs or ask for a raise or something of that nature. It might be around saving. So you might want to either start saving or increase the amount you're saving. Once again, make sure this is a SMART goal. So make it really achievable. It might mean that to start with, it might just be $1 a week, or it may be a whole lot more than that. And budgeting, these are some of the areas you're going to start thinking about in terms of a wealth goal for 2021. So once again, this is probably going to be very individualized for each of you. You're all in very different financial positions. But if any of you have an idea, that's great. If any of you would like some help, there you go, Summer. Yeah, that would be a great one. Reading the Barefoot Investor book would be a great one to start with. I love the Barefoot Investor. I'm a big fan of his, as you can probably guess. And so yeah, I would say doing that would be awesome. Kate's continuing 10% saving and 5% to reduce the mortgage, which is awesome as far as your continue goal, Kate, for wealth. And it would, once again, be good to have a start goal. So adding something into that for 2021 would be cool, even if it's just a tiny thing. Like even if you just went from 10% to 10.5% in terms of your saving, that would be a cool way to do it. Anyway, so have a think about that, or there might be, you might want to change the way you're investing that money you're saving, Kate. You might want to get that into something. We certainly, Steph and I have started following the Barefoot Investors advice, and I'm not a financial advisor, so take everything I say, particularly financially, with a grain of salt. But we have taken some of the Barefoot Investors advice and invested in the I can't remember exactly what the name of it is, but essentially it's the ASX 300. Someone will remember exactly what that's called. It's not a managed fund. It's like the opposite of a managed fund. It's a I can't think of it off the top of my head. Anyway, and but that's really good. We do that through Vanguard, and that seems to be really sage advice. It does, from everything I've read from the Barefoot Investor and others, it seems like that particular approach, because it has less fees and less management, and it seems to outperform most of the other options as well. So that might be something to look at and consider. Once again, definitely don't do that just because I said it. Get research into it, get some financial advice. But if you've got questions about it, I'd be more than happy to answer. There's a couple of different ways you can do it that we've looked into, so I might be able to point you in the right direction anyway. So that would be something to start doing, particularly if you have got the savings already. So yeah, and then stop doing. Okay, so once again, in terms of wealth, that typically means stop spending on something, and usually we've all got something we'd like to stop spending as much money on. So if you have, something there that and this often can be a great way to start the savings plan, and it might be just, once again, it might be just that cup of coffee, and you might say, well, I'm just once a week, instead of having the cup of coffee out, I'm going to have the cup of coffee at home. And whatever that amount was, Steph bought a coffee the other day, cost her $7.50. She was flabbergasted. She was distraught by it. But whatever that amount is that you've spent on your coffee, then put that into your investing. So start having a think about how you can perhaps marry the two together in terms of the stop and the start. Can be a really good way to do it. And then obviously continue. Kate, had a great example there of your continue in terms of your saving goal. Definitely keep up the great work you've been doing, because as we said earlier, that really compounds. That just, it's a great feeling once you get it happening, no matter how big or how small it is. Because even if it's $1 a week, you actually do see it start to build. And then you see it start to gain interest on the amount that you've built. And it's a really, really rewarding, almost addictive feeling that starts making you wonder, well, like I said, how can I go from 10% to 10.5%? Could I ask for a raise and then try and put that money into saving? Or, could I do some additional study or learn a new skill and get a different job? And, it's a really good way to go. So, so that's the wealth aspect. So that is all of the 21 areas that we wanted to go over tonight. We've done that pretty well. We've done that in about 80 minutes, which is actually not bad going to get through all of those. I will once again remind you guys that if you want to work on these with me over the next 21 days, we'll be focusing on that inside the Exercising Resilience group and trying to get at least one of these ticked off each day. I'll be coming along doing that as well. And so, yeah, if you're already in there, then by all means, ask as many questions as you can. And let's help really dial all of these into really smart goals. And I'd love it if you could share those smart goals so I can help you nail those in over the next 21 days. If you're not already in Exercising Resilience, I'll put the link here again. You can join once again for $1 for the next 30 days. That will include the 21-day challenge, which will be getting our 21 goals dialed in. It will also include the spring cleaning mentoring session of clearing out 2020 and starting afresh in 2021. And it will also include the mentoring around movement that we're going to do on the 28th of January as well. So once again, if you'd love to be part of that, I'd love to have you as part of that. It costs you $1. There is no other commitment. It's 1 month, $1. If you decide you want to join with us after that, you're more than welcome to, but there's no obligation to. But, I just think for $1, if you're not doing that to kickstart your new year, you're mad. You will definitely get way, way, way more than $1 value out of it, as others can testify, and certainly Kate shared with us earlier. So the link is there in the chat here. I'd love to have you guys on board. I hope tonight was beneficial for you. I'm happy to hang around now and answer any questions you've got, help you clarify any goals you're wanting to set, help you create those smart goals, help you answer any questions, any mentoring you need right now, whether it's related to these 21 goals or related to anything else altogether. By all means, let me know. Deborah says that's been very beneficial. That's great to hear, Deborah. I hope, as I said, I hope this helps kickstart a magnificent 2021 for you. Thanks, Rachel. I hope you got something out of that. I hope that was beneficial for you. See you, Kate. See you, Helen. I'll definitely see you inside the Facebook group. Oh, thank you, Yvette. It's my absolute pleasure. Oh, I'm glad to hear this has been inspiring, Adam. That's awesome. Summer, I think you've been speaking to my mum, saying I look better with the haircut. Next, you'll be telling me I need to shave my beard. All right. Well, it sounds like everybody has gotten something out of tonight, which is wonderful. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. As I said, hopefully inside the Exercise and Resilience mentoring group. And if not, I'll see you at the next podcast or live event or wherever I see you next. So thank you, guys. Have an awesome 2021. Let's make it the best year yet, hey? See you guys.